The youth group recently returned from our summer mission trip to Stockton, California with Sierra Service Project. Our youth had the opportunity to join 4 other churches in serving throughout the community of Stockton in a variety of projects. Most of them were construction-based. We had 2 groups that were rebuilding a fence, one for an elderly woman and the other for a disabled retired vet. We had a group that was working at a homeless shelter, redoing their pantry area and installing shelves so that they could distribute supplies to the community. We also had a group that worked at a women's shelter, one that repaired siding and painting on the side of a house, and finally we had a group that built a deck on the back of a home for someone in need.
The skill that I learned was learning how to paint stucco wall. It was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be because you have to get into the little cracks too, and that's kind of hard with the roller.
A new skill I learned was how to use a pickaxe.
Probably the new skill I learned was how to paint correctly. And I learned how to use 2 new different power tools, and that was a lot of fun, but scary too.
Being safe in the workplace, especially around like drills and power tools and saws. Also planning and strategy.
I learned that I'm very patient, and I think that's a very good skill to learn, especially on a trip like this.
What surprised me about Stockton, California was how friendly and opening the people were. I really enjoyed my stay there.
Something that surprised me, how much work it actually took for our job. It didn't, when you hear about it, it doesn't seem like it would take very much work to remove siding and put new siding and put up new siding. It sounded really easy, but once you're actually there and have to do the work, it's a lot harder.
The hardest part of SSP this year was my work team and we all got so close to finishing our project. If we had maybe like another hour and a half to like finish sanding the walls, we would have been completely done with our project, and that was probably the hardest part because we had worked so hard and so fast, and we had like a little bit of a stall with a missing circ saw. And so we ended up having to put off to the next day what we could have done in the one day, and so we ended up not being able to finish at the end.
The hardest part of the fence was digging the holes to the new fence posts because there was lots of concrete and there was roots and stuff.
I found myself challenged when my group went to the Women's Center and was given jobs that no one had ever done before, and we had to make it work.
The hardest part for me was not being in my own bed. I get homesick, I guess.
For our mission trip, me and my group worked on drywall, and I've never done drywall before.
The hardest part was trying to make new friends because this was my first year at SSP and I was going with my sister, and that was probably the hardest part for me, was being social with other kids.
The hardest working person on my work team was Carrie. He worked really hard.
The hardest working person on my team was Winter Sellers because the time it took me and Jessie to dig 1 hole, she already dug 3. It was very impressive.
The hardest working person on my team was a boy named Rex. I think he was in high school, and he always was doing something or always asking to do something. He was from my church, and I actually didn't know him that well until SSP, so that was nice to get to know him.
And also Nyatea, because like even when we were on water break, she would like get up and like go do something, and we would always be like, "Where is Nyatea?" And she would be working. We would just always be working.
I did meet the person that I helped. Her name was Alice, and we were building her a deck. We were building her a deck because she could not afford to do it herself, and she could not physically do it.
They were like very nice people, and at one point they both came out and like talked to our leaders about like politics for like an hour.
My homeowner was named Annie, and she is an older woman from Louisiana. She moved here with her children when she was in her 20s, I believe. And so she told us stories about growing up in the South.
They were really nice people, and it was cool to help them and work with them. There was this one girl who was in my work group. But she was also really nice, and she helped me understand some of the problems with our work site.
I met this one really nice staff member. His name was Ben. He was a very good rapper, but it was really cheesy. He rapped really cheesily, but it was really great, and it was really nice. And I had alligator tears before I said goodbye to him.
My favorite part, probably, about the entire trip was the long drives. I really liked spending time with people in a car.
My favorite part was at the end of our last day when our staffer and our work group leader took us to Krispy Kreme and Jamba Juice.
My favorite part of the trip was breakfast because it was really good, and dinner because I had chicken enchiladas, and that was the best meal ever at SSP.
When we went to San Francisco, we went to Alcatraz, and there was a little part of the tour where it tells you to go outside while it explains one of the stories of one of the prisoners. And we get outside, and it just was a really pretty view. It was starting to get dark, so the sunset was happening, and we kind of just stopped and took a minute to admire the sunset, and we just talked, and we were laughing, and it was just one of those things that in the moment you're gonna remember, and it was a great experience.
The thing that I'll remember probably most from this trip was San Francisco, because that's a once-in-a-lifetime experience. I might not go there again.
I'll remember probably the group I was in, because it was a lot of my good friends, but also some new people, and the leader was really nice, and she gave us a good environment to be open and honest with each other.
What I'll probably remember from this trip in 20 years is the people and the work that we got done, because we met some amazing people at SSP, and the homeowners that we worked with were absolutely fantastic, and I would love to go back again.
I just want to thank each and every one of you for your support throughout the year. We couldn't have done it without you supporting our fundraisers, praying for us, and your kind words of encouragement along the way. Just means so much to these youth, knowing that they're a vital part of our congregation, and they are being the hands and feet of Jesus out in the community, showing God's love to everyone, everywhere they meet. This is an experience that they'll never forget and has deeply changed each and every one of them.